Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you the hero's journey, part 6, tests, allies, enemies. Okay, we are on lesson 6 of the Hero's Journey series. In this series, we learn English on the hero's journey. And each lesson is representative of one stage of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. So if you haven't seen the previous lessons yet, I suggest you go back and watch them. You can learn so much new language through just this series, okay? But of course, this series is not all that Learning English Path does, okay? I teach you so much on this channel that you won't get anywhere else. So please subscribe if you want to keep learning. And give this video a like so that more English learners can join us and we can really form a great community of English learners. Which reminds me, do join the Facebook group if you haven't already. Okay, this is not something I talk about very often on YouTube, but do join the Facebook group. And if you want to learn English with music and with songs, don't forget to download I will send you an email of a free PDF guide to learning English with songs, and that's 101 songs. I give you the best 101 songs to learn English with, and I give you all sorts of questions and tips and some really great stuff on how to learn English with songs. All right, so check that out. But now what we're going to do is we're going to review the last hero's journey lesson, okay, part 5. So if you haven't watched that, do go back, I suggest, if you want to be able to answer these questions, right? So we're going to just have 3 review questions, and then we'll get on to part 6. All right. So the first one is, finish the phrase here. Turn over a new... Okay, pause the video if you need. Go back or look at your notes if you keep a Learning English Path notebook, okay? To turn over a new what? All right, the next one. To move. Okay, something very big that you can move. Well, you can't really, but something very big that in this particular expression, you move if you go out of your way to make an effort to do something. Okay, maybe you can do it physically. Who knows? One day, right? We're all becoming superhuman these days anyway, right? But, you know, the mind is very powerful as well, so I will not discount anything. And the last review question here is, according to the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, what does a journey of 1,000 miles start with? Okay. Now, you can find the answers in the previous video, okay? Or type them in the comments now if you remember the answers, all right? Okay, lesson 6. Stage 6, tests, allies, and enemies. Now, what I have to point out here is that this was not an official stage, not one consolidated stage in Joseph Campbell's idea of the hero's journey, according to his research. Okay? This is actually taken from Christopher Vogler, who I've mentioned before, when he wrote the book The Writer's Journey, and he kind of remixed the hero's journey a little bit, all right? And this stage is a kind of consolidation of a few of the original Joseph Campbell hero's journey stages. So what are we going to learn on this stage? Well, it's very simple, really. We're going to learn, for each of these words, tests, allies, and enemies, we're going to learn 5 synonyms for each of those, okay? So 5 words that mean something similar, or maybe even the same in some circumstances, but I never like to say that 2 words have the exact same meaning, okay? They might be very, very similar, but I would not really say that 2 words ever have exactly the same meaning. So watch out for that. But a synonym is a word that is supposed to mean the 2 words can both be used in a certain context. Okay? So this is the stage where the hero, right, the hero has crossed the threshold. So he or she is on the adventure now, on the hero's journey, and he or she will come across tests in this new world. He or she will meet enemies in this new world, and he or she will have allies, meet new allies in this new world. So what do these words mean? Let's look at the first one, tests, and 5 synonyms for a test. Now, you might think, well, you know what a test is. You took too many of them in school, right? You might think that you're an expert on tests, but you have to be a little bit careful, because the word test can mean different things, even just the noun. Right? There's also the verb test, but just the noun test can mean slightly different things in different contexts, right? So the first one, I'll go in alphabetical order here, by the way, okay? So from A to Z. The first one is assessment. An assessment is a test. So this could be the same kind of test you take at school, right? You go and you take a written assessment. Or it could be if you're being tested, if your driving is being tested, right? You're having a driver's test. You are also being assessed. So this is also a driving assessment. You have an assessor sitting next to you, someone who is testing you and assessing how good you are, right? Analyzing you and figuring out in their minds how good you are. Okay? So that's an assessment. The next one, evaluation. Evaluation. Okay, this is a very similar one to assessment, because someone is, again, analyzing you and figuring out whether you are fit to do something, okay? So what's the difference? The difference is that an evaluation tends to take more variables and factors into account. So if you are evaluating something, you're looking at something a little bit deeper and more in a broader sense than if you are just assessing something. So you wouldn't have a driving evaluation and then if you're good enough, you get the license. And if you're not good enough, you don't get the license. An evaluation would be, where do you need to improve? Right? What are you good at? What are your weaknesses? And what do you need to do before you take that driving test, before you take the assessment? Let me give you a learning English example. So if I'm giving you an evaluation, then I could just be having a conversation with you for 15 minutes and trying to see what your strengths are, right? What you already know, what you're good at in English, and then also what are your weaknesses and what would be the best way for you as an individual? What would be the best way for you to improve? That's a real evaluation. See, it's a real careful, meticulous look into another person with the goal of having them improve in a certain way. Okay? That's usually what we're talking about when we say giving someone an evaluation. Okay, so it's also a kind of test because you test someone. You can have an evaluative test, right? I can be testing you and maybe not giving you a grade, or maybe not saying you can go to this school or you can't go to this school. But maybe I'm just testing where you are at the moment. That's a kind of test, right? All right, the next one. Okay, this is examination or exam. Now, I bet you've heard of this one before. Okay, so this is the, again, a few different contexts. So you can have an exam in school, right? Just like an assessment. And these words are really almost interchangeable. Okay, almost. And an exam in this sense will give you a score and let you continue your education or not let you continue your education. Unfortunately, that's how our education systems work in most countries in the world, which is a real shame, but that is the current situation we're in. You can also have a doctor's examination now. Okay, you go to a doctor for a checkup, right? For the doctor to check how healthy you are. And this can be called an examination as well, because what the doctor is doing is examining you, kind of like evaluating someone. But in this context, it is better to use the word examination. Okay? All right, the next two are a little different. So the fourth one here, struggle. Okay, a test can also mean a struggle. So let's imagine the hero. Let's go back to the average Joe. Okay, remember we've got the average Joe and the average Jane. Let's say that the average Joe now, he is learning English, but he's having a lot of trouble. All right, there are so many grammar points and so many words and so many difficult pronunciations and all these fluency habits that he really wants to nail it, but it's a struggle, right? And he's almost giving up. He's like, oh, this is so difficult. Okay, that's a test. Because in that situation, life is testing you testing your resolve, testing how much you really want this, right? Testing how far you are willing to go. How much of a struggle are you willing to push through to get that result that you want? Okay, so it's a test of willpower and life's test against us. All right, or for us. Okay, the last synonym for test is trial. So this is really what the hero is going through in his or her journey, a trial. And this is like a word that it was used, it's been used for many, many hundreds of years. And it means that the hero is facing many obstacles and they have to get through the obstacles in order to get to the next stage. It's really what the hero's journey is all about. It's a set of trials, okay? And these trials are tests, okay? That's why they're synonyms. And you may have also heard of a trial in court, right? So if someone is suspected of doing something bad, committing a crime, then they will be put on trial, and their words will be tested, right? They say one thing and another person says another thing. And so their evidence, their version of the truth, their claims are tested. They are put on trial and they are judged by a judge or a jury, right? Okay, next, synonyms for the word ally or allies, right? So the hero on his or her journey will meet allies. And I'm going to mess up the alphabetical order thing here because I want to give you the most obvious one, which is, it's just another word for friend. Okay, so the hero will meet new friends on his or her journey. And these friends or these allies will help him or her to get over the tests, right? He's being tested. The hero is being tested, and the allies can help to support the hero in the journey, on the journey. So that's the first synonym, friend. But it goes deeper than that. An ally is a little bit deeper than just a friend, right? The next one you might say is an accomplice. Now this is interesting because it doesn't usually apply to heroes if we consider heroes to be the good side, right? Because an accomplice is usually considered to be someone who helps a criminal, someone who helps someone to do some wrongdoing, or someone who helps someone to commit a crime. That's the friend of the wrongdoer, the accomplice. All right? Now, again, this could be true in our little story with the average Joe and the average Jane, right? Average Jane is because in a sense, by going against the rules of the teacher and the rules of the class, right? The rules of the school, by sneaking into the English class, that could be considered a social wrongdoing, even though they're just trying to learn. So in this sense, Jane could be Joe's accomplice because Jane has helped Joe to get into the other classroom, right? All right. The next one, associate. An associate is usually used in a business sense. Okay? So if you are introducing your business partner, you might say, "Oh, this is my associate." It just means someone who is associated with me, right? So we've talked about this before. You can go on all sorts of hero's journeys. It can be a hero's journey in business as well. And in this sense, you could meet a new associate. Now, it doesn't have to be in business. You can have associates in other areas of life as well. Okay? So it's someone you associate with generally, but it's quite formal. The next one, colleague. A colleague, if you don't know already, is someone who you work with, right? Someone, if you have a job, then your colleague is someone you work with, your co-worker, right? That's simple. Excuse me. There's dust in this room, so. Okay, the next one, the last one for an ally is a partner. Now, partners come in all shapes and sizes and forms. Okay, you can have a life partner, right? Your husband or your wife could be your partner. You can say your partner, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. This is your partner. Or you could also have a business partner, right? Someone who you are doing business with, and usually there's not a boss between these two people. Partners usually means at the same level, okay? And you can have a partner on the hero's journey. So a classic hero could have a partner. Do you know the Super Mario Brothers? So Mario's partner was his brother, Luigi, right? So if you don't know Super Mario, check it out, okay? The next one. These are synonyms for the word enemy or enemies. All right. Now, what's this? This is someone who is trying to stop you from continuing your hero's journey. This is someone who is against you. Okay. Someone who you will have a conflict with. Someone who you are in conflict with. All right, so the first synonym for an enemy is an adversary. An adversary. Now, this is really someone who is just, like I said, going against you. Going against you in some way, and who you are against. All right, the next one is competitor. A competitor is, again, usually in the business world. If you have a business and another person sells the same thing as you and is after the same customers as you're both trying to get the same customers, well, you're in competition with each other, right? So they're your competitors. So you can have a competitor if you're in competition with someone, either in business or in sports. You have a competitor in sports or in many other areas of life as well. Okay? If you're trying to get a job, then you can say you have competitors. All right? All right, the next one is the word foe. Now, this one is very close to the word enemy. It's almost interchangeable, okay? The word foe. This means someone who you don't like and they don't like you. So they are your enemy. They are going to try to stop you on your journey, and maybe you're trying to stop them on your journey, on their journey, because sometimes, right, our journeys collide. And only one person sometimes can get through to the other side at a certain time, right? So in that sense, they are your, that person will be your foe. The next one is an opponent or opposition. So the best way to think about this is someone or something that is opposite you, right? If you are opposite something, they're on the other side. And so they are your opponent or your opposition. Again, in sports, this is often used, right? In one-on-one sports, in fighting, right? Or in tennis, or in something one-on-one, you have an opponent. Even team sports, opponents, okay? And also, it could be, excuse me, it could be in business as well, okay? It could be in many different areas in life. Someone who you have a disagreement with or a problem with can be your opposition. Someone who doesn't agree with your idea, right? They are your opposition. In a court case, again, right? In a trial, you have an opposition. And the last one, or last couple together, really, rival or arch rival. Okay, so this is someone who you have continuous conflicts with. Okay, it's not just one, you have one conflict and then that's over and then you move on to the next. No. That is an enemy, but a rival is very specific. Someone who keeps coming over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. An arch rival emphasizes this even more. It means the main rival. Okay, so for example, Batman's arch rival is the Joker. Okay, and let's stick with Super Mario again. Super Mario, his arch rival is Bowser, right? So there are many. If you look at comic books, right? If you read comic books or if you play video games or something like that, you can see who the hero's arch rival is. Okay, you can often see this. Excuse me. So have a look and let me know in the comments. And let me know if I've missed any words out too. Okay? That's all for today's lesson. Please give it a like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. All right? Keep learning, my friend, and keep going.